wanted to start off just asking you a few questions, obviously about the issues that we've all been dealing with, in the wake of the attacks on New York and Washington on September 11th. First of all, where were you when that all happened? And
I've been getting up early in the morning. I live in New Orleans now, and I've been up really in a phase of just writing. So I've been sitting around a lot, spending a lot of time with myself thinking, and I was up that morning, just on the internet, and my dad called me up and said, we're getting attacked, turn the TV on. I went downstairs and said I'd turn it on, the second plane had hit. And just this sense of disbelief, I went to the studio where everybody was gathered around the TV, and quickly the illusion of getting any work done was replaced by the next week, and all we did was sit and watch TV, and just this kind of stunned lack of belief, really, that that quick everything could be so shaken, that your perception of your sense of safety could be that disrupted. We didn't know anybody involved, in that event personally, but then I noticed that a lot of people I talked to, I was surprised at the anger that normally rational people were feeling.
Absolutely, yeah.
That I myself was feeling, that I wanted some sort of revenge, and I wanted it now, and I didn't care if, just this irrational...
What the fine points were, yeah.
And that was followed by sadness, where it was just a sense of feeling like crying. I spent a lot of time talking to people, a lot of family members and friends I've rarely talked to. We've all, So if there was any good to come out of it, it was this, I think it's just putting things in perspective. A lot of the petty irritations and things I get myself worked up about anybody is when you see how frail life is, And that now has, in my mind, kind of turned into this, I've done, as I'm sure everybody has, a little research into bioterrorism, and when you start, the more you find out about that, the more bleak the whole situation seems, and all. I was thinking on the plane ride here, you can't help but when you see another plane in the sky, you're waiting for it to blow up, and you look at a tall building, and I wonder how tall that is compared to the other one, and I'm ready for it to fall, what it would look like falling, and just terrible images. But what struck me now is just that you think we weren't prepared for an attack like on the Trade Center with airplanes, because you wouldn't think people would think to use this as a weapon. And I'm thinking, as I'm using my plastic knife, well, I could take a fork and jab your eye out if and I'm thinking, well, how am I, if every situation from the male downward could be used in such a devious purpose, it's like maybe we aren't as evolved as a human race as we thought we were. Maybe we don't belong in airplanes or living in cities, and maybe we need to be in caves, if it's such a level of ignorant, barbaric behavior happens. It's defeating right now. Now I'm in a sense of disgust with the whole situation. I try to put myself in the mindset, why really is there such an anger and hatred towards us, and trying not to be from an American,
sure,
you couldn't have done anything wrong, what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And it still can't get past the basic justification. There is no justification for an act that inhumane and barbaric. There's nothing, there's no amount of anger that could justify slaughter on that magnitude, or any slaughter, but that nature is disgusting.
What do you feel is the role of artists in a situation like this? Do artists have a specific, distinctive role to play, or is it...
Well, to me, the role of the artist is, if there is some tangible way to help the situation in terms of fundraising, whatever, great, if it makes sense to do that, of course. But to me, I think the role of the artist has always been to kind of put out for interpretation to the public a feeling, an expression, and maybe that's it's not, what am I trying to say? I think that any good art reflects how the artist is feeling at that time about whatever, and I think the role of art in people's lives is to use the artist as a means of expressing what they feel. A song that you like that might remind you of something that expresses your feelings better than you could, or a poem that you enjoy, or a movie that struck a nerve. So just keep, so the role of the artist to me is basically to take what's in them and get it out, and sometimes that is a portal for others to feel through that, and whatever that might be. It's a kind of not very well worded answer to your question.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, and I mean, I think one of the interesting things, particularly in your case, is I think that a lot of what people are feeling now is an emotional sort of terrain that you've explored a lot. You know, this kind of sense of dread, and I mean, just the other night when when I went down to visit Ground Zero, which is referred to as the frozen zone. I was thinking, like, wasn't that a Nine Inch Nails B-side or something? There seemed to be, like, the very language that's being used is something that you know, are issues that you've evoked in your work, you know, and certainly, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, in terms of listening to stuff and listening to, you know, your new record, it's been, you know, it's been powerful that way, because a lot of stuff just seems to be, so some things are kind of more soothing, other things just completely irrelevant. Your stuff seems somehow to really just be right there and reflective of, you know, a lot of the emotions that people are going through now.
In my case right now, it's frustration, and it's also confusion because I'm angry, but I don't know where to direct that anger, you know. And so to answer your earlier question, as far as the artist's role, I mean, I'm not going to be the one on the pulpit preaching to you what I think you should do, but I can express how I feel, and maybe that helps you. Or, and I don't mean that in a self-help way necessarily, but it provides a mean that you can get it out of your system, or realize you're not the only person that feels that way about this thing. And so I do see some parallels in just the general people being angry or frustrated, and there needs to be some way to channel that out.